Hello, this is Jack from teachingeslonline.com. Now, today I'm going to talk about filming videos on your phone. We're going to talk about lighting, framing, audio, considerations, background noise, and I'm just going to give you lots of little tips along the way. Now, first, a lot of people are rushing to make videos right now because of the current situation. And I think a really important thing to consider is it's not a time to try to be perfect before publishing your first video. But that doesn't mean you can't try to do the best you can. So hopefully you're going to learn some tips in this video. Implement what I talk about. Some might work for you, some might not. And then just put that first video out there and go from there. Now, let's talk about lighting first. Currently, I'm set up here with a window in front of me, okay? So I'm facing a window right there. It's south facing, and I've probably got about another hour to record in here because in the evenings the sun's going to just come straight in and the lighting's going to be too harsh. The best time to record is when the sun's on the opposite side of the house. That does depend a little bit on the size of the window as well, but the closer you get to it, the better the lighting is. But the closer you're to the window as well, it just gets a little bit echoey, because your voice is going to bounce straight back off that surface. Okay, so that's something to think about. But facing the window is tip number one, because if you don't, you get that kind of lighting. And if you're crazy and you film like this, then the highlights and the shadows are just too harsh. Now, I will leave a link to some lighting, external lighting things you can get, lights I guess they're called, which you can get to just control the lighting as much as you can. A lot of what I'm going to talk about is just control of your environment, your audio and your lighting. But that's the first tip, it's to get in front of a window. I'm sure you're thinking about doing that already, but you don't want the sun coming in because it's going to be too harsh. Now, the next thing to consider is framing before we get into the audio. And these two actually relate, because when it comes to framing, I quite like this, somewhere around here up, okay? And you want to fill the frame. It does depend on also if you're going to be using props like books or anything that you're going to be using as a prop, because you want to be able to get that on your screen as well. But just notice this, if I were to do more of a fireside chat video, then, this is a look that you could go for, but I'm too far away from the camera for the audio to work. Now, if you have a little clip-on mic, it could work. And again, there'll be a link in the description so you can look at the different audio options available. But I'm just going to give you an example. This is one of my many mics that I've bought over the years. It's a Yeti Nano, and this is me using an external microphone, just to give you an idea of the difference between this audio and then the audio on here, on the phone. But I think a good idea is to get a lapel mic, clip-on that goes straight into the camera, so you're not having to match external audio to the internal audio, unless you want to do that. Now, another thing to think about with the framing is your background. This is dull, this is boring, but you don't want to see what's going on over there. I've basically just, shoved everything over there out. You can actually see something still here, which I didn't quite get out of frame. But don't worry too much. You don't have to go for that bookshelf look with all the nice little things, sparkling effects in the background right now. Just get something that isn't going to be distracting. That's probably a good place to start. Talk about distracting, background noise. I think I heard somebody entering the house again. If you have other people living in your house right now, especially children, it's going to be very difficult to control that background noise. You're probably going to have a few arguments with your children, with your partner, whoever you live with, because you need to have that dedicated time. Background noise is so frustrating. We have 2 children, there's a beautiful wife in this house as well, and a dog. And I know that my dog is going to bark if the mailman rings the doorbell. So think about the time of day and when you can schedule your filming in. I try to do it at a time when everyone's out the house, and at this stage I can't think about trying to do it around the dog. Everything's really hectic. But there's a couple of things you can do here. Again, try to get on a schedule so that everyone knows when you're filming. And then also, what was the second thing? The other thing is that you can edit. You can edit it out, okay? Now, you don't want to be doing too much editing and getting even more work to do. But if you're 3 minutes into a story, let's say, and then there's a knock at the door, the dog goes crazy, your kids go crazy, you can just wait for it all to calm down, pick up where you left off, and then edit that part out. And I'll make another video in the future for you to be able to do that. It's a kid shouting right now, okay? Nothing's going to be perfect at this time. Another thing to consider when it comes to audio is to control the acoustics in your room. Because the more furniture and that kind of stuff that's in the room, the better, because that's going to absorb all the your voice. Whereas if it's completely empty, you know, that echo effect, and that's really going to pick up. The audio quality right now is not great. I'm aware of that, but again, I'm just trying to get something out there. Now, I do have a studio, or like an office studio space, but I might not be able to get there for a few weeks. I don't know what's going on. So normally I have full control over all of this, lighting and audio, but this is the most frustrating part right now, okay? It's having that. So just try and do your best when it comes to making the acoustics better in the room you're in. Now I'm outside, just to give you another example of where you can record. The thing right now is, I mean, it just depends where you live. We live in a peaceful neighbourhood, but it's not peaceful. I mean, you know, people are out and about at the moment, or at least they're in the yard playing music, planes overhead. It sounds like a duck, but we have a lot of wildlife here too. And also the lighting, it's really harsh. Like, the sun's gorgeous, but it's too harsh. It's just far too harsh right now. So outside is really good for the specific acoustics of your microphone, but it's not great for a lot of things unless you can control it in ways that, or you're in a really good spot out in nature. It's going to be a tip in a moment. And another thing to think about is if it's really cloudy, that's a lot better than sunny, and it's much better than partially cloudy, partially sunny, because when it's overcast and you don't see any blue sky, it's like a little softbox for you. It's like nature's little softbox. Right, I'm going to show you another location. Another example where I'm outside. It's the same time of day, but I'm at the front in shade. So the lighting's a lot better here because it's not as harsh. Now, it's kind of like, you're not going to get perfect lighting again. And if you're thinking about filming videos and batching them, then you need the settings to be good for that entirety of the time. Now, speaking of batching, this is like the number one place you want to be, where you can just sit down or stand up and just crank out 5 videos within an hour and you're done for the week, or 10 videos within a few hours and you're done for the week. But if you're going to do that, make sure that everything is set up properly. You don't want it to be in a situation where you've made 10 videos and your clip-on mic wasn't clipped in or wasn't plugged in enough, and there's no audio, or the audio quality is bad. There's so many things that could go wrong when making a video. So I recommend definitely every time, set up, record a video, watch it back, and then batch if you can. Also, you're going to get used to the sound of your own voice. It doesn't sound good, I know, but you'll get used to it. So just start that process now and listen to yourself. Listen to yourself. I always think I sound boring when I'm on camera, and I think I do a little bit. So a tip I heard was go 110%. Use that intonation, you know, put it out there. So those are just some tips to think about when recording videos. If you have any questions, then please leave them below. I've got a great link to different things I'm using, including the tripod I'm using right now, which is handheld, but it's also, it can go on your desk as well. So it's like a multi-functional tripod, and it doesn't mean that you have to, it means that you don't have to stack up all the books and try and, you know, put a coffee mug behind your phone. It's really good. I really recommend it. It's around $12 or so. Maybe it's 20 now, I don't know. I can't remember. But it's under $20, I'm sure. There's a woodpecker. You know, you can't control the natural environment, but you can get out in nature too. So if you're somebody who likes nature walks and you think like a walking video in nature would be good, would suit your audience, then that is an option that you can have too. I used to make quite a few of those videos. They were fun to make, but that's, you know, something else. Just throwing ideas out there. Let me know what you think. If you've enjoyed this, like and share it, and then go into the description because I have other videos on this topic. I have some other resources, and then links to my recommended equipment. Alright, oh, one last thing. When it comes to equipment, start off with what you have now and only get something if you think it's necessary. So a lot of people think, okay, I need a tripod. That's going to make a big difference. But don't just dive in there and think, I need these expensive lights and this really nice microphone. Just start off with what you have and then go from there. Alright, bye-bye.